Today, anyone can build a software. Give a college student Claude and Emergent, and they can probably ship an app. But that's not the hard part. The hard part is getting a real business to actually trust you enough to use your product. Today, I'm 19 and my startup is generating over 50 lakhs in revenue. And I'm working with top brands like Tata, Hyundai, Nissan, Honda, Ather, Royal Enfield, KTM, Iker, and so many more. Because while students were chasing internship, I was trying to get actual businesses to pay me. And the crazy part, it didn't come from any cool idea. It came from the most boring and ignored industry possible. Tier 2 and Tier 3 automobile dealerships. So you might be wondering, how does a 19-year-old somehow start a business or even come across such an idea? Because most of you watching know you want to build a startup someday, but don't know how. And I was in the same place as you 2 years ago. So, how do you start a startup as a student? Matlab, if I wanted to start a startup and do it all over again, these are the exact steps I'd follow, and some things I definitely wish someone should have told me. And step 1 is this: think like an owner. If you met me 3 years ago, मेरे पास कोई बड़ा entrepreneurial vision नहीं था. I wasn't reading Paul Graham's essays at 2 am, but I had something I think was even more useful. My brother, he had already seen more of the real world than I had. Clients, deadlines, solving problems under pressure, talking to people who don't care about your feeling, just whether you can deliver. And I noticed something. Whenever he looked at the client problem, he just didn't see the task. He also saw the question, can I build a business around solving this? They see the problem and think, someone should fix that. Founders see the problem and think, if I fix that, can I build a business around it? That mindset matters more than people think. Because before code, before product, before money, before delivery, that shift is what is needed. That shift didn't happen in one aha moment. It happened by being around someone who already thought that way. I saw him look at clients' tasks, not like problems, but like opportunities. And that changed how I started seeing everything. And even in our AIP program, they don't teach you how to pass the exam. They teach you first principle thinking, which I think is the most important thing. And with that comes step 2. Find an ugly problem. And by ugly, I mean a problem so boring that most people won't even look at it. At least in my case, that problem came from the auto dealership world. Here's what we noticed. In Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, most of the dealerships were multi-brand. And by multi-brand, I mean dealerships that owns multiple brands at the same time. And every brand wants them to use their own system, own dashboard. Imagine being a dealer having to jump between multiple workflows, WhatsApp messages, Excel sheets, delivery reports, staff management, all just to run one business. From the outside, the dealerships look smooth. Customers are walking in, cars are being sold, everything is normal. But when you go behind the scene, it's chaos. Papers everywhere, calls everywhere, delivery confusion, people asking for reports, multiple tools, and no centralized workflow. And that was the first big thing I learned about startups. The best opportunities don't look exciting at first. They look messy. And you start recognizing these problems once you start talking to people having different skill sets. And for me, I had so many students from my college, SST, doing so crazy things. Everyone was solving different types of problems, some for the companies and some for their own startup. And that brings me to step 3. Get close to the customer. This is where most people get startup advices completely wrong. They think building a startup means coming up with an idea, build a logo, build a website. Well, that's a way, but it's not how we did it. Before TriCrew became what it is now, we had built a simpler software for a different client. We found a manufacturing business that needed help tracking their field staff location, salaries, expenses, basically a simple HR and tracking workflow. So we built that for them, and that became the start of everything. Because when we solved that problem well, that client trusted us and referred us to someone else, and that someone else turned out to be a major auto dealer. And when we sat with them, watched their day-to-day operation and listened to what was actually breaking, the entire opportunity opened up. That's when I learned something that I think every person building a startup should understand. This is something that even our faculty at SST taught us. AI can help you build, but it can't give you the market truth. You do not get market truth by sitting in your room asking ChatGPT whether your idea is good or bad. My mentors at SST, founders who have actually built for places like Google, Meta, OpenAI, pushed me to get out of the lab. And they told me code is 10%, but market truth is 90%. You get it by going out, talking to people, getting ignored, getting awkward, asking dumb questions, and actually seeing how work gets done. In India, especially in B2B, trust is everything. If people don't trust you, they won't use your product, no matter how good it is. But then you will also have to think of step 4. Build only what people will pay for. Once we understood the problem perfectly, we could have still made a mistake that even the most smartest students make. We could have overbuilt. Fancy tech, fancy UI, fancy features. But the dealer didn't care about fancy. The dealer cared about simplicity, speed, and day-to-day usability. They didn't want it beautiful product thinking. They wanted, can this save me time? So we built around that and made the software super functional and super fast. One of the older software that they were using used to take around 12 seconds just to load certain reports. And we brought it down to just 0.3 seconds. Competitors needed weeks to train teams, but we wanted people to understand our system not just in weeks but in hours. And that brings me to step 5. Sell before you feel ready. This is where a lot of student founders lose months, sometimes years. They keep preparing, planning, tweaking, perfecting. Meanwhile, nobody is buying. In our case, we didn't really have the luxury to stay in planning mode. We had clients waiting, deadlines ka pressure, expectations. There were literally moments where it felt like if we didn't ship fast enough, we'd lose the customer. And that pressure teaches you very quickly what matters and what doesn't. My brother and I were working nights, sometimes barely sleeping, just trying to push features fast enough. A lot of that speed came from using AI well. And this is another thing which people misunderstand. AI didn't build the starter for us. AI helped us move faster once we already knew what and how to build. And that is a huge difference. If you don't understand the customer well, AI just helps you build the wrong thing faster. Now, once the product started becoming useful, the next question to ask yourself is simple. Why would someone choose us over existing players? And the answer is not just tech. It was also how we thought about the business itself. Most existing software in the space were charging in ways that didn't feel intuitive to the dealer. We simplified our pricing around actual business movement. We kept it easier to understand, easier to justify, and easier to adopt. So now, we weren't just saying that our software is better. We were saying it's faster, easier to learn, more aligned to your workflow, and priced in a way that makes more sense for you. And that's when it stops being a student project and starts becoming an actual business. Which leads me to step 6, which is to over-deliver. This is one of the biggest things I've learned from working with real clients early on. In B2B, your first sale is not the win. Trust is the actual win. If someone gives you a chance, especially as a student, they are not just buying your product, they are betting on you. And if you want referrals, renewals, long-term businesses, then you have to make that bet feel smart. That means being responsive, shipping quickly, fixing problem, listening properly, staying accountable, and meeting deadlines. Our business grew a lot through word of mouth, and this only happens if the first people you have worked with genuinely feel like you have solved something for them. In India, especially for B2B, trust spreads from person to person. That means one good client can become the entire distribution. Now with that comes step 7, hire and scale. There's a point where if you want to move faster, you can't stay a single founder forever. So we started hiring. At one point, we even hired interns from SST, who were literally my batchmates. But the lesson was huge. If you want to scale, you need people who are better than you in specific areas. And as a founder, your job is not to be the smartest at everything. Your job is to understand well enough of every function so that you hire well, scale well, and not get fooled. So now the game changes. It's no longer just can we build? It becomes can we sell faster, hire smarter, build the product, and capture the market before someone else does. Today, the business has reached over 50 lakhs plus in annual contract value with an average ticket size of 10 lakhs yearly per client. And for me, the crazy part is not just the number. The crazy part is that all of this came from looking at a boring problem closely enough to realize it was actually a business. So, if I had to condense everything I have learned into one roadmap, it would be this. I think the biggest lie students are told is that opportunities always look obvious. It doesn't. It looks boring. And because it looks boring, most people just ignore it. But if you look deeper, you can spot friction, talk to real people, and build for something that actually matters. You realize the world is full of businesses hiding in plain sight. I'm still very early in my journey, still making mistakes, still learning, and still building. But if there's one thing I know now, it's this. You do not need the perfect idea to start. You need real curiosity, real action, and the courage to get close to real problems. So, if you are in college right now and want to build something real, stop waiting for the big idea and look for the messy one. And that might be the one that changes everything.